Ladies and gentlemen, WWE Monday Night Raw review, and boy, we have such low standards for WWE Raw to the point to where when we get a Raw that's sort of decent, it's like, man, oh, Raw was great tonight, and man, I'm just sitting here like, man, Raw had some redeeming qualities, but it wasn't great. I'm not gonna go that far. Last night wasn't great. I can't go that far. So I'm about to hop right on into it. We had some things, and let's just say that I'm gonna have a lot of material for my podcast, and I'm gonna have a lot of material for this show, good and bad. It was up. It was the ultimate up and down for Monday Night Raw last night. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button to be notified of every video that I make. We started this show with Braun Strowman. Get these hands, Braun Strowman. Crowd still loves Braun Strowman, but clearly the guy has lost all of his momentum. You could, yeah, I mean, you can just you just see the guy is not the same guy anymore. Talked about Brock Lesnar after he soaked in all of the chants. Talked about Brock Lesnar, talked about how Brock Lesnar was going to get these hands at the Royal Rumble, and he talked about how he was fully cleared for the Royal Rumble. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm looking at it like, okay, who's gonna break this up? At any time now, somebody's gonna interrupt him. And sure enough, here comes Baron Corbin, because nothing says new era like Baron Corbin interrupting Braun Strowman. So Baron Corbin comes out, talks about how he should be facing off with Brock Lesnar and how he would be in the main event of WrestleMania, something that Braun Strowman never did. He talked about how if he was out here for another 5 minutes, he would last longer than Braun Strowman did against Brock Lesnar. So eventually he took Braun Strowman off, and the chase was on. Braun was looking for Baron Corbin. He threw one of the Singh brothers over a table, over the jobber table in catering. And he saw a limo, and guess who was here? Elias was here to out Baron Corbin. Told Braun Strowman that Baron Corbin was in the limousine backstage in the parking lot. So, of course, Braun Strowman goes to the limousine and does what Braun Strowman does. He does Braun Strowman things. There just so happens to be a lead pipe there for the limousine window, just out of nowhere. Braun Strowman cracks open the limousine window, cracks open the door, and Baron Corbin runs off. And who is there? None other than Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And he's just looking at Braun Strowman befuddled as we went into commercial break. After break, he said that Braun Strowman would be fined $100,000 and that he would be out of the match at the Royal Rumble against Brock Lesnar. So these opening segments, and I mean, like, I found no interest in them whatsoever, but Braun is out of the match, and I just hope that he's out because he's injured and that he hasn't been cleared yet. That's why he's out, and no other reasons, because, look, the guy has certainly lost all momentum, and he's just not interested anymore. And I could very much see that as a reason as to why he's not in this match anymore. A part of the reason as to why he's not in this match anymore, even though it's their fault as to why he's lost all momentum. So, I mean, we'll see in the future what goes on with Braun Strowman. So, we move on. Braun Strowman was getting escorted out of the building. We moved on to the first matchup of the night. Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks versus Tamina and Nia Jax, excuse me. And I gotta say that I am not interested in Nia Jax or Tamina whatsoever. Like, they do not have any chemistry with anybody whatsoever, except Nia Jax has some chemistry with Ronda Rousey. And this match wasn't interesting at all whatsoever. Ronda Rousey, although there are moments of genius with Ronda Rousey. Like, there are times when she's green, you can tell that she's not quite ready for the moment yet. But there are certain moments with Ronda Rousey that you look at it and you're like, man, she is the female Kurt Angle. She had one of those matches, one of those moments in this match. Like she ran up Tamina's arm and flipped her around into that arm bar, and it was just like incredible. She has these moments that Ronda Rousey has, and it's just like, man, she's incredible, and you can tell that she is going to be great one day. I didn't find this match to be particularly entertaining. Sasha Banks picked up the victory. A nice side Russian leg sweep into the bank statement. That was a nice sequence. She made Tamina tap out. What happened that was interesting to this match is what happened after the match. That was the interesting tidbit. Ronda Rousey said that it would be an honor for her. It would be her highest honor to beat not Sasha Banks as champion. And Sasha Banks took onwards to that. She was like, what? You're going to beat me? You already listed me down as one of your accomplishments? And Ronda Rousey was like, no, I'm just saying that it would be an honor for me to tap you out. And so Sasha Banks went in on Ronda Rousey. Talked about how she would take down any woman of any size. And she talked about how Ronda Rousey praised her last week. So this was, I got to say, it was an interesting exchange. It should prove to WWE officials that, look, you need to turn Sasha Banks heel. You should have turned her heel a long time ago because Sasha Banks works best as a heel, as an annoying heel, as somebody that can just let her personality come out. And every time she gets mad, her personality comes out, and it's entertaining television. It reminds me a whole lot of Roman Reigns, to be quite honest with you. But that's beside the point. Sasha Banks, Ronda Rousey were off into a good start as far as the build goes. And I'm interested to see what they do with the match. Are they going to be gutsy and have Ronda Rousey lose? I don't expect that to happen. But it would be a swerve of all swerves if Sasha Banks picked up that victory. It's pretty strange to see Ronda Rousey chase Sasha Banks down to try to tell her that, no, I wasn't trying to offend you. Look, you're supposed to be the baddest woman on the planet. Why do you have Ronda Rousey chasing Sasha Banks down to apologize? I mean, I just don't get that whatsoever. After that, we panned to the backstage area, and we had a list of people trying to get into Vince McMahon's office to face off against Brock Lesnar. And out of nowhere, Jerry King Lawler comes out of the Vince McMahon's office, and it's like, what? What is the King doing there? Does he want to face off against Brock Lesnar? Is he trying to angle for the Raw announce team? What is he doing there? But after that, that was pretty strange nonetheless. After that, we had Natalya and Bayley backstage, holding back Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey. And Sasha and Ronda Rousey eventually walked off, and Natalya and Bayley took up for both of their friends. And to be honest with you, that should have been a tag match. Sasha and Bayley versus Natalya and Ronda Rousey. That made a whole lot more sense than the tag match that we did get. So after that, Riot Squad came up and they said that they wanted to make a bad situation worse. They wanted to face off against Natalya and Bayley. They told them to find a third partner. So speaking of making bad situations worse, we had the Revival versus the Lucha House Party, and I have no interest in that whatsoever. Even WWE had no interest in this match whatsoever because we cut in the middle of the match. We cut to the backstage area to see people at Vince McMahon's door, and surprise, surprise, EC3 just shows up out of nowhere like a way to tank his debut. Like, can you imagine if Chris Jericho showed up just backstage in 1999, just casually showed up backstage instead of debuting against The Rock? Why do we remember Chris Jericho and WWE? What moments do we remember best? We remember a lot of moments, but at the top of the list is the debut against The Rock. So you can't just have EC3 just show up anymore. His debut is ruined. So to the match, this was one of the least noteworthy matches of the night. Nothing going on at all. The Revival picks up the win. Obviously, Grand Metalik's foot was on the ropes, but the Revival got a little measure of revenge as Dash is there to, as he was there to push his foot off of the ropes, giving the Revival the win. So this feud, unfortunately, continues. The Revival against Lucha House Party, against whomever, with these screw job finishes, we're going to continue to get that on Monday Night Raw. A new era. So after that, we had Vince McMahon come out, and he was here to tell us who would face off against Brock Lesnar. And before he could say a word, John Cena's music hits, and I'm like, oh man. You can see my reaction. It's on YouTube. You can look it up under the reactions tab. And I'm like, oh man, are we going to get John Cena and Brock Lesnar again? And I'm like, I just cannot deal with that. I could not deal with that again. So John Cena said that he knew that Vince needed a Royal Rumble match. His big Royal Rumble match, Universal title match was off, and he needed another guy. He said he knew that Vince would say that he needed someone to step up, and John Cena said that he was here. He talked about the big meeting, the infamous meeting that Vince had back in 2004 with the roster. He said that he needed someone to step up, and John Cena said that he would step up if given the chance. And he said that he would do that again. But John Cena was cut off by Drew McIntyre, and this started the chain of events where Drew McIntyre was cut off by Baron Corbin, and Baron Corbin was cut off by Finn Balor. Finn Balor said that Vince McMahon never believed in him and that he would prove him wrong. And that started a good old brawl off, which ended with Claymore kicks to Finn Balor and John Cena. So Vince McMahon said that he loved that, and that would be the way that we would crown the number one contender for the Universal Championship. We would have ourselves a good old fatal four-way. And I found particularly the back and forth with Finn Balor and Vince McMahon quite interesting. The whole Vince McMahon saying that Finn Balor wasn't big enough for him, and I think that he really actually feels that way. But that's beside the point. Finn Balor saying that he never really believed in him. I think Finn Balor really feels that way too. So I found that very interesting that they would bring it out onto the rings and actually say it in front of everybody. That's old WWE right there. It would bring stuff out into the ring and actually say it. But moving on, Vince was backstage after this. He was cut off by Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal said that he wanted to face off against Brock Lesnar. And for whatever reason, Vince told him to pick one of the guys in the Fatal 4-Way. And he said that he would face off against one of those guys to take their spot at the Royal Rumble. So Jinder Mahal chose Finn Balor. And at that moment, I'm like, well, what did Vince mean? Does he mean that this Fatal 4-Way is going to go down at the Royal Rumble? Does it mean that Finn Balor has a spot in the Royal Rumble match? Like, it was very confusing, and Vince really fluffed on that one. So eventually, after that, we had the Riot Squad versus Bayley and Natalya, and it was Nikki Cross who was the third opponent to come out. And I was very excited to see Nikki Cross. And Cole said that the NXT debuts would be going back and forth from Monday Night Raw to SmackDown as they haven't been signed yet. And I got to say that I don't particularly have a big problem with that, but I would much rather them debut on the show that they are going to be on, so we could have some established feuds going on, and so that they won't be going back and forth. But we'll get more into that as the situation develops. As for this match, I gotta say that I'm sick and tired of seeing the Riot Squad versus Bayley and Natalya and whomever in these three-way matches. For goodness sakes, they might as well debut trios titles for the women as well as the tag titles. But I thought that they, at the least, made Nikki Cross look really well here. I enjoyed her action throughout the match. They put her over really well. And at the least, the ring work was pretty good. I'm sick and tired of seeing the Riot Squad face off in these three-way matches. Like, that's the only thing they can do with the Riot Squad. Seemingly, they can't come up with anything innovative for them. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the match picked up pretty well. And for the finish, Nikki Cross hit a neck breaker off the ropes. She took forever to lay, I think it was Liv Morgan. It was Liv Morgan. It took forever for her to drag her in the middle of the ring so that Bayley could hit the elbow. You could see Bayley on the top rope, like, get out the way, move. And Bayley eventually hit the elbow, picked up the 1, 2, 3. Nikki Cross looked really good, although I am sick of these three-way matches. After that, we were backstage. Finn was walking, and he passed by Lacey Evans, another NXT debut that just debuted backstage as she was talking to Mickie James. Goodness. These guys and ladies could debut better. I hope they do a better job of this on SmackDown. I hope we don't get the random debuts tonight. We'll see. So after that, we had ourselves a match. Finn Balor versus Jinder Mahal. And before the match could get going, Jinder Mahal attacked Finn Balor. And it was a question as to whether or not they would go with the match. He put a good beat down on the ref, was checking with Finn Balor. Do you want to go in this match? And that was the most exciting thing to happen in this match, as Jinder Mahal and Finn Balor, for as long as they feuded off earlier, I don't know if it was this year or last year, it was not interesting at that time, and it was not interesting here whatsoever. The only noteworthy thing to happen was Finn Balor hitting the coup de grace on Jinder Mahal to end this match. For a moment, I was like, man, I really hope they don't go with Jinder Mahal to take out Finn Balor in this match. But fortunately, they did not do that. Finn Balor picks up the victory here. Next up, we had the Intercontinental Championship on the line. Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley versus Dean Ambrose. Now, this was a really good match that captivated my attention. I was back and forth. These guys have really good chemistry. I gotta say, at the beginning of the match, it was really slow because they tried this thing to where Dean tried to get Seth's trust, and everybody was trying to get a 2-on-1 advantage in the match, and it really slowed the match down to the point to where it was really boring in the beginning, but it really picked up throughout the match. I gotta say, Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins goes off the ropes, and Bobby Lashley hits this one-handed spine buster, and Seth Rollins is in the lights, for goodness sakes. He really has him up there. It was almost like a flapjack, to be honest, but it was a one-handed spine buster. Very impressive from Bobby Lashley. The guy is really strong, and he's very impressive if they use him to his strengths. So, as the match rolled on, we got some phenomenal spots. We got a Doomsday Device from Lashley and Dean Ambrose, but Seth Rollins landed on his feet from that Doomsday Device, and Seth Rollins obviously does what he does. When he gets going, it's very exciting. We had a super kick to Lashley, and we had a kick to Dean Ambrose as well. As he was going for the curb stomp, Lashley intervened, Leo Rush intervened. He intervened many times in this match as well, but he intervened at the end, pulled Seth Rollins over the ropes. Lashley goes for the spear. He hits it, and Lashley gets the 1, 2, 3. We have a new Intercontinental Champion. Surprise, surprise. I did not see that one coming whatsoever. Bobby Lashley, the man of the hour, Bobby Lashley, wins the Intercontinental Championship. And I gotta say, I don't know if it was the right decision, because I don't know where the heck Dean Ambrose goes from here. His character, I don't know where he goes from here. Obviously, Seth Rollins, in my mind, is going on to Brock Lesnar. I don't know where Dean Ambrose goes. Probably another match with Bobby Lashley, although, we have the clause, the no rematch clause, so we'll see about that. Bobby Lashley wins the title. I got to say that I don't know if it's the right choice, but I was excited because, personally, I cannot remember the last time that a brother held a singles title in WWE. I'm on this hunt to where I'm looking for another brother to win WWE's main title for once, not The Rock. You know, I like to see another brother capture the world title, but I cannot remember the last time that a brother actually held a singles title. And it was like once Lashley won, it was like, man, a brother has a singles title for once. Thank goodness. So we'll see how it goes from here. Sometimes the title win makes the person or catapults the person's character. So hopefully that happens with Lashley. We'll see from here. From there, we got a stage guy walking in on Alexa Bliss with half of her shirt on. I don't know what was the point of this segment. No point whatsoever, to be honest. So after that, we had a moment of bliss with Alexa Bliss and Paul Heyman. And before Paul Heyman came out, Alexa Bliss had news. She said 3 teams from Raw and 3 teams from SmackDown would face off inside the Elimination Chamber, and the winners would walk off with the brand new WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. I gotta say, there was a lot of debate here on the look of these titles because that's what we do as wrestling fans. But those things were beautiful. Those are the best looking titles in WWE. The main roster, WWE, those are the best looking titles. I don't like the Universal title. I barely even like the WWE Championship. I'm not even fond of that, to be honest. So, well, I gotta say it's between those tag titles and the Intercontinental Championship. Whichever one you want to pick, I don't have a problem with, but I like those tag titles. So eventually Paul Heyman comes out and he's going down a list of opponents that could face off against Brock Lesnar. He puts over Drew McIntyre really well. He puts over everybody really well. But the story of this segment was that Heavy Machinery debuted and like they did it again. Otis from Heavy Machinery, he just comes up out of nowhere. It's another debut that just happens out of nowhere. And it's like, really? We debuting there? I mean, Otis is kind of funny. So, I mean, that kind of took away the sting from it a little bit. But, like, it just seems like Heavy Machinery is not going to be taken seriously. I felt that way initially, that Heavy Machinery wouldn't get taken seriously. And now it's like, that's kind of like a confirmation that they won't get taken seriously. We'll see. I'll give it a chance. But it was a weird debut, to say. That's a weird debut nonetheless. So we'll see how it all shakes out. It was weird when they pay it back to Alexa Bliss and Paul Heyman, and we cut to break out of nowhere. So after that, we had the main event, the Fatal 4-Way match, Corbin, Balor, Cena, and McIntyre. And I'm looking at this before the match starts, and I'm like, man, if Balor or McIntyre wins, they're going to get fed to Brock Lesnar. If Cena wins, we get another part-timer. We get 2 part-timers facing off at Royal Rumble for the title again. If Corbin wins, we riot. So, like, I don't know what to root for here. So I didn't root for anybody here, to be quite honest. What we got was a phenomenal match going back and forth. We got an early AA attempt from John Cena that didn't get it done. And we got a lot of good spots here out of this match. We got a super AA from John Cena. And the match broke down. Baron Corbin grabbed that chair in this match. Now, Baron Corbin, I have no interest in Baron Corbin, but when he grabbed the chair and he started waylaying on everybody, he looked pretty presentable there as a big guy. But moving on from there, when the match picked up, it got really exciting. And we got the closing stretch where Cena hit the AA on Corbin. We got a Claymore to Cena, and Finn Balor hit a DDT from there. And to close the match, Finn Balor hits the coup de grace on John Cena at the moment when John Cena rolled over, I was like, nah, Finn Balor's not going to pick up the victory here. Then he got the 3 count, and I was like, whoa, Finn Balor picked up the victory. So obviously everyone was so excited. You know, it's like everybody was thinking Finn Balor at the Royal Rumble, he's finally in a prominent position. And I'm just sitting there like, man, okay, I'm excited too, but I'm cautiously excited because look, everybody's excited thinking that, okay, Finn Balor can win the title here. And look, Finn Balor's not going to win the title. I'm sorry I got to break it to everybody like that. But Brock Lesnar is going to hit a random F5 in that match, and he's going to pick up the win. So Finn Balor is not going to win the title, but that would be the end of the show. Monday Night Raw. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts on Monday Night Raw.